voting on anything, despite the nice little note that everybody got in the penny saver. All we are doing is looking over the host agreement that we have worked on, that Apex has worked on, and we're just working on it once again to refine it some more to our advantage, meaning the town. So this is not a regular board meeting like we usually have up there. This is a workshop. In that case, as I said, we're going to be working on the host agreement. We are not entertaining questions, comments, or anything else from those of you in the audience. Now, that said, because we are not going to address any of you, I have put back there, right behind Steve, there is a wicker basket. Hold it up, would you please, Vanna? Thank you. And to the right of the basket, there are 3x5 cards. So if you would, if you've got a comment or a question or something, write it on a 3x5 card, then throw it in that basket for us. And then at the board meeting in 2 weeks, we will address those at that time. But right now, this is just us working, just so you know, okay? Make it to $1 million yet?
No, it's getting a new engine.
Yeah, I know. Okay, gentlemen, the packages I just gave you contain our last copy from March 11th that Lance had provided. It also contains the copy from May 24th that Heritage has provided. I also, there's a letter that I got from Neil that I just wanted to share with you, stating that they had planned on redlining, but they messed up. So as a result, the changes they made, oh, here's Rich. All right, welcome, kind sir.
Excuse me. Is it dry on the You're okay, Gary. Pretty dry there.
Your neck of the woods.
Yeah, right.
You got your crops in?
Don't be mean.
Yeah. Okay. You also have in your packet the 2 host agreements. You also, so you can take a look at, have a letter dated May 14th from Neil to myself. That was after our board meeting when once again we said we wanted some numbers. So if you take a look, that's in the very back of your packet. It's the very last stapled piece of. Well, that's because you were in nosing around. Yeah, there you go. Okay, you got 3 copies, it looks like.
No, I got, everything's different in your shop. That's why I've been up
Okay.
the last 3 nights trying to read them.
In this one, he gave us the numbers for pilot as well as a host agreement, how it would be broken down based on, you know, once again, let's say we get 80% of the overall income or the money received from the turbines per megawatt. And then it's all broken down by the numbers. 2 fallacies, at least I'm going to take the ones to our benefit. And that is on the first page there, it says that the town of Barre would receive 1.3 million in the first year using an escalation rate of 2.25. This amounts to more than 31 million over 20 years to the town, and that's at 8,000 per megawatt. Now, the 8,000 per megawatt, they were talking 7,500 before, so they moved up to 8,000 at this time. Also there, the escalation rate of 2.25%, if you look at the last page, number 3, the annual escalation, he's got 2.5. As far as I'm concerned, we're gonna stick with 2.5. He put it there. Now, in the host agreement, both in the one that we had with Lance as well as theirs. They're saying for the first 5 years, it would remain the same. On year 6, then it would kick in at this 2.5% increase each year. But if you take a look at the second to last page, the escalation rate, they have that escalation going every single year, not starting on year 6. So once again, that's to our benefit. Even though they have the escalation rate at 2.25 versus 2.5, but I think that seeing how they put that rate in there, am I wrong, Lance?
I'm just trying to see what page.
Right here, second to last page.
Oh,
Then in the other one, they've got it 5 years in it.
In both host agreements, they're saying that the first 5 years we remain the same rate. It's year 6 that we start the escalation rate. But they gave us a chart there
okay, I see.
showing that the escalation rate is every single year, starting year 1, or year 2, I should say. So once again, that's something I think we should hold them to, seeing how they put it in there. Okay, so that's for you to take a look at and digest.
Would you ask them, I know you said they did the red line, but would you ask them to red line? It makes it a lot easier to
Oh, yeah, I know.
compare piece by piece.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've been sitting there and I've been reading word by word to see where changes are, omissions, additions, and it's a pain in the
Yeah, they
keister.
should be able to red line.
Okay, so let's go back to, there was something that Tom was talking about, and I had noticed as well, a little while ago, Lance. In their host agreement, and they're talking about decommissioning a turbine. Right up here, there's a chair right up here. When a wind turbine was decommissioned, then we would give them a pro rate on it, which is understandable.
They would give us the full rate.
Well, if they paid us for the full year,
Right.
then we've got to reimburse them. Let's say it goes down in September, we got to reimburse them for 3 months that it has been decommissioned out of that year, and then thereafter. And if it's decommissioned, it is to be removed, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
There's
What
there's
about,
a time frame for doing that, but yes.
as Tom and I were talking about this, there is nothing in here that describes the difference between not working. Let's say it's gone down. It's down for 3, 4, 5 months because of the inability to get the necessary parts they need or the crew there to get it back up and running. Therefore, we should not be giving them a prorated amount of money back on that, right? I mean, it's still operational, it's just not operating at that time because of need of repairs.
Yeah, because decommissioning means they're taking it out permanently. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. We just wanted to make sure they understand, so we don't have any questions whatsoever about, well, the wind turbine is down, and it's been down for 5 months, we can't get the part, well, too bad. Okay,
But on the money, I think we should be paid twice a year, just in case something does happen. You don't have to cough it up. That's one of those, if they decommission.
either that twice a year, or it's a deduction from the following year's payment. Could go either way.
Well, it should be a little down.
That's what he thinks would probably be the best bet.
Okay.
Okay. If we start with the first page, host agreement, looking at the two of them. You know, Lance, I got a question there, and I did not see it in the host agreement. Collection station. Do we get if they put in, don't we from National Grid, for like this one right up Westbury Road up here, do we not receive rent for that space or some kind of reimbursement? It seems to me we do, don't we?
Oh, yeah. From
National Grid on that. So if they put in a collection station where all these turbines would tie into it, should we should be getting some kind of rent from that, right, from
I
that
never
space?
seen any agreement that provides for that.
No?
It's just based on the rate of megawattage of the turbine. It's the same energy, it's just being.
Yeah, but it's another lot.
Well, I mean, you could certainly negotiate that, but
Yeah.
in any of the agreements I've seen from any of the communities, I've not seen anything like that.
Would we use a special use permit on something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd have to look at our zoning for special permits and that, because this thing, reading it, it incorporates everything
Mhm.
under one thing. And so if we need something different, we're gonna have to address it with them. And I don't know if they're aware of, special use permit every year. They've had to do it with the pilots that are
Mhm.
up there, so.
I asked Neil once again too, because National Grid said that, or at least the salesman I spoke to, one was a retail salesman, the other one was a wholesale salesman. And they said that the kilovolts in these power lines that run through town right here are not large enough for them to tie into, that they would have to run their transmission line down to Elba, because that's a larger system.
To hook into the grid.
You hook into the grid, yeah, because ours is 115 kilovolts. The one down in Elba, those power lines are 345 kilovolts. Spoke with Neil, Neil said, no, the whole idea is, and they are able to tie into ours right here, the 115 kilovolts. Now, like I said, that's salesperson versus,
Well, that's
I'm sure they've
that's
done.
one of the requirements of the agreement. They have to show that it's, appropriate to tie in wherever they're gonna tie in.
Mhm.
They have, all the necessary approvals from National Grid too.
okay. That was just a little concern I had right there, because then I'm starting to think, well, do we have to share some money with Elba if they go in and tie in down there?
I wouldn't think so. I think they'd have to make their own.
And then you have
Deal
to
with
talk
Elba
Genesee
for-
County and everything.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of, they would have to make a deal with Elba for access to the grid.
Okay. According to Neil, that's exactly how they're doing it, it's right there. Okay. Page 1, the agreement. First paragraph you got right there, the host community agreement, word for word is identical. From what I could find. Any questions with you gentlemen?
Just that state of Delaware.
Right.
Yeah, that right there.
Where do you look at this one?
Very first paragraph.
Yeah. Stack
Oh, right here. Yeah. Where is it?
They've changed from this old one to this one. That's the new one.
Right there.
Which one is this the one?
We're looking at the
Very first
24th one.
page, comparing the two. Then we have underneath that the next set of paragraphs, which is recitals. One thing that they did on theirs, they changed one of yours, Lance, from Public Service Commission, they changed to Public Service Law. Is that irrelevant?
Let's see.
That's in the very first sentence.
Oh, I did the recitals.
Yeah.
No, it says, we both say the company is an application, New York State Public Service Commission. Pursuant to Article 10, yeah.
Article 10 of public
That's right,
law.
that's right, yeah.
Okay. And then they inserted in theirs, they inserted some more in the sentence of certificate of environmental compatibility and public need certificate to the New York State Board on electric generating generation, siting, and environment to construct a wind-powered electric generating facility not to exceed 200 megawatts is what we know already. I don't know why they left that blank. They inserted that sentence.
Yeah, that's right, because that's what the technical title is on the board.
Okay.
So that's okay.
And pretty much on that page, then all the rest, I didn't see anything else. Anybody?
Well, they've got, on ours, there's a number of turbines, 47, they haven't said anything on this part of it.
On ours.
Right here, the original one. Project comprised of up to 47 wind towers generated each, such and such and such.
Oh.
Over here, on theirs that they
Here.
just gave us,
That must be one of the older versions, because the most recent
want to
one,
give me up to date.
One thing,
it's a blank. Here. Right there. Where is that one? Throw it out. I will. Give them the stuff. Yeah, on both theirs and on ours, the most recent one, that is a blank. There's just a line right there saying blank wind generators, called turbines. Okay then, we're looking at definitions. Now here's where I questioned a lot, Lance, because you had a number of definitions in here which
Which they took out.
they took a lot of definitions out. So I don't, that's where we need you to decide, do we need those definitions in there or not?
They haven't been out, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, they took out a lot of definitions out of it.
Take and just compare these later to see what it is.
What you see like on mine right here, look at, there's what, 7 of them there, there's 6 right there. There's another 5 over there, and there's another 4 right there. Okay, then, what's this section? Presentations and warranties.
I guess while we're here, though, what's it mean when they're talking about special district taxes, the fire tax?
Library tax, fire tax.
Which means they will pay it.
Library tax?
yeah.
Library tax?
Yeah. You haven't voted in a while. It's right there.
Gives you 4-1, it's supposed to explain all that stuff in there.
I've got a question under section 2.2. Oh, no, we haven't gotten there yet. We're still on 2.1. Town representations and warranties.
They look to me to be the same, no change.
Well, the one question I have for you, I don't know, maybe it's just because of the verbiage, it says here in number C, letter C, signatory, whose signature appears below. That means at the very end?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to, Then let's go down to 2.2. That was the only thing I was questioning in all of that. Guys, you got anything for 2.1?
No, you're signing your life away.
Okay, under 2.2, letter A, existence and good standing. It says it's a limited liability company duly organized and existing under the laws of the state of Delaware. In ours,
State of
New York.
you had laws of the state of New York.
That's what.
And authorized to do business in the state of New York. They both compare the same there.
Well, we have to see what their, what their certificate of good standing says. I mean, I just assumed it was a New York LLC. It may have been a Delaware Limited Liability Company, I'm not sure. Which is okay, as long as they're registered in New York and they have a certificate of good standing.
You can check that out there,
Yeah.
right?
And agree to be sued in New York.
I'm sorry?
And agree to be sued in New York.
That's on the- which one? This one is the they signed, right?
No, this is our old one,
Okay, because we got it all.
311. So, no, that's in our new one. In our old one, you've got state of New York. But in theirs, they have state of Delaware.
Yeah, Delaware and Washington.
Because that's where they're located.
No, they're-
Their offices are in Virginia.
In Virginia, yes.
They probably got their other stuff out of Delaware.
Just like it.
Right.
I probably stole someplace.
Can't claim them as being mine.
Maybe borrow. They were there for stolen.
Okay. Gentlemen, anything with 2.2 that you can see? Otherwise, it's all the same as what Lance had sent to Laura. Have you heard anything from Laura about this at all? The way Neil talks, he's talking to her almost weekly.
No.
Okay. Okay, Article 3, term, section 3.1. There's, I've got it listed here, that we've got a bunch of verbiage missing out of 3.1. They have only one sentence versus what Lance had sent to them, which is a full paragraph.
I'm not sure why they did that. They didn't explain to me why they did it. Yeah, I think I would rather stick with, it's just a question of the effective date of the agreement. They just say when it's signed by the parties. Mine says, when it's signed by the parties with the approval of the town board, all necessary permits to construct and operate the project are submitted, and execution of an agreement for the use of the town and county roads for project construction and operation. So, they're supposed to have a highway, use plan, decommissioning plan, which I still haven't seen their version of. That would be part of the community host agreement.
Well, there's a number of things that there's mentioning in here that aren't going to be given to us until after the Article 10. So there's attachments and that, we don't know what those are even amounting to. So, and personally, we should have all of that and not sign anything prior to it.
Right, well, that's
No.
what this would say, is that, the way I had it set up,
Right.
effective date was after all those.
What they're saying, they're
Permits have been
gonna,
issued.
put them into the Article 10 and give us copies of them.
Okay, I'll mark it right here, replace.
They don't think we're making an agreement for the use of the county roads, do they?
And state.
Well, it would have to be a joint agreement, it would have to be something that involves the town and the county.
The county
Don't
highway
mention any state
superintendent's
roads in
been-
here.
We don't have any power over the county roads.
No. But the county superintendent is mentioned in here.
Right. Neil had mentioned to me that they would be making contracts with the state, the county, and the town.
So they should, that's right. But we don't have anything to do with that. In my mind, anyway.
No, but we need to know that all those agreements are in place so that,
Prior to signing, which is why this extra verbiage here needs to be placed back in.
That's why they put it in blue. When you print it off, mine came out blue where they changed.
Oh, you,
Oh,
We're gonna use your printer.
yeah, you're gonna run this stuff
I
off.
think it's dying.
I'll go to Walmart and help you out. Section 3.2, I saw no changes whatsoever here. Any questions with under term? Article 3?
Agreement may be extended there for a period of 2 more years. What's the length of the original contract?
They're talking, as per the numbers that they provide and everything, a 20-year contract.
Okay, but I haven't seen it in here.
Yeah,
Is it?
I thought it was.
Okay.
I think you should go to the life of them. If they last 25 years, the contract's only good for 20.
Isn't there something in here about an extension?
Yeah, for 2 years.
What they do?
Yeah, but you're coming back and negotiate.
It seemed to me there was something somewhere where towards the end of the contract, we renegotiate, you know, for an extension. Could be for 5 years or 10 years.
Let's see here. Usually they want something in there that talks about like automatic extensions. I didn't see anything like that. So, well, it says the term of the agreement commences with the effective date and expires upon the date of decommissioning of all turbines. That would be the expiration date.
So that could be 25, 30 years.
Yep.
But do we not have to take a look at numbers again? There should be something in there addressing, I mean, like their scale that they show is for 20 years, that 2.5% increase every year.
You can keep right on that to that scale.
But if one of these goes out of service, they're gonna prorate us.
Not out of service, that's what we just got, only if it's decommissioned.
They can decommission any one or all of it at any time they want, according to this.
If they decommission, they gotta tear it down then.
What is, I guess, what is your concern? Because if the agreement lasts for the life of the project, whatever that is, if they take something offline, you know, decommission it, either they're gonna put up another one, a replacement, or they're gonna leave it alone, and that's just gonna affect the, you know, payment to the town, obviously.
And that's what they said in here, that they may decommission it or repair it or add a new one to it.
Right.
So we just gotta be aware that whatever we're set on our price, it may not be the same every year.
Right, but the presumption is, I mean, you know, they're in business to make money, so it wouldn't be in their best interest to just let these things go and die unless they're in bad financial shape, you know,
Well, they're gonna have it sold before it's completed,
I would imagine.
and they address that in here too, so.
Well, the amount of money I think they can make, they can keep the town whole. If one turbine stops or two turbines stop, according to my calculations, they aren't gonna be hurting too bad, and that shouldn't affect the town.
Well, I agree that it should
Something you
be.
can negotiate.
Well, yeah, so I'm saying I don't like that.
I don't either.
So, no. They're talking money that I've only ever dreamed of.
Geez, in my 20
So,
years.
just for clarification, so you want me to tell them that if this project is rated for 200 megawatts, even if they go down to 180 megawatts, you want to be paid as if it was 200 megawatts, right?
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm only one.
I'm just looking for clarification so I can, transmit the board's feelings to the other side.
I would love to see us get the full value of 200 megawatts, but that was their application to the state, that they would not go over the 200 megawatts. And from day one, it's always been the payment, which would be at this time now 8,000 per megawatt. It is whatever the plate of that turbine times the 8,000 times the number of wind turbines. So right now, I think out of that 200 megawatts max, they're at 185 or 186.
184, 180.
Okay, 185.
Is that where it's 78,000, not gonna ask for any more?
We didn't say that.
No, we initially came up with a figure of 10, and they initially came up with a figure of 75, and they came up to 8,000, and I think Sean wants to,
We've gone up now to 15.
Because of some areas are getting you is.
Well, if the state average
10,000 to
is,
3,000. I mean, there's a big play.
the state average, as has been pointed out and we have known, has been about 10,000 per megawatt across the state. And we've voiced that earlier this year to them, and that's when they're talking 7.5 or 7,500. And now they're up to 8,000. As far as Tom and I are concerned, he says 15, I say 14, and we'll negotiate from there.
we did have, there
To
was,
beat that on the camera so
there
they
was a
don't see that,
chart.
would you please? They don't need to know our negotiating strategy.
Too late,
Yeah, I know.
that's the press.
we did have a chart before that gave a breakdown of what the payments were to other municipalities. I
Mhm.
don't know if I have any of those details here, but.
I do buried in my,
I think
Ms.
that's where- I
Richardson's
think
holding
that's where I-
something up for you, I
I
don't
think
know.
that's where I came up with the 10, because that was the,
Yeah,
That
and
was
they
the
were
maximum one
looking,
at the
they were
time.
looking at that 10 is because of people that are already been in the system, they don't start at that.
Right.
There.
I think we should, it's negotiation. We just give them a figure and
That's
spend
when
on
I was, that's
what
when
they
it
want.
come out.
That's the one I got.
Lance, I think
Lance
Carrie's
is-
got one.
Carrie,
It's still Sue, it's based on the email that he received with the typed up with both the first year and then also the second year. I added in that column just by subtracting,
okay, so the pilot actually, all right,
because it's divided pilot, HCA,
right.
then the non, one-time payments, and then the first year, and then the, first, or 2 to, whatever.
It looks like the actual highest between the pilot and the whole community host agreement, it looks like it's about 9,000, it was the top.
16, I think.
Hmm?
Which, it's higher than
Oh, total first year, okay.
16,460.
Yeah, that was the top, Sheldon, 16,460. Thanks.
Mhm.
okay, so we gotta get something more definitive on the term, correct?
I just, because I think what I did in the host fee, I didn't, it didn't include anything for the pilot, that was just our share. That's what I
Yeah,
did.
just ours.
That was where the 10 came from, yeah.
But I mean, that would be included for the pilot as well, because the pilot takes off this as far as how much per megawatt. That's if Neil's diagram is correct. This other paper I gave you?
Well, there's a host fee and there's a pilot. I mean, there are two components of the overall payment.
Right.
So he was showing his bucket, fees, I think he was doing 80%, 20%,
80% to the town, 20 to
at
the...
8,000. At 8,000 total, so.
Yeah.
But the way I drafted this, it doesn't say that this is inclusive of the pilot, so.
Well, the thing of it is, what we negotiate with them per megawatt
Mm-hmm.
is the top pot that all this comes from. So the more that we can get, the more we're gonna wind up, because your county is gonna want
Right.
so much, and the school district is gonna want
Right.
so much.
But what happens, first you agree on a number, all right, then you agree on the percentage division between the town and the school authority, and the county.
And I think tentatively, we'd agreed that the town will get 80% of it, in
Yeah.
talking with
I
the
guess
county.
That's the other question, is whether the IDA agrees to that.
Yeah.
They have to have their input too.
Why is that?
We're not talking to the audience, so
Okay, it's a public meeting.
it's a public meeting. It was explained at the beginning that this is a work session for the town board.
Now we,
Well, we're gonna have to deal with them, but we wanna get it high enough so that we're gonna get our deal out of it. And I know that Apex is a little concerned that we ask for too much, then the county won't give them their pilot, because they won't agree with it.
Well, that's something I think has to be worked out now between the town and the IDA.
Right.
I have,
Because the county has to agree and the school districts have to
Right.
agree.
And if you look at the printout that Neil gave us, we're the low one on the total call out of that pilot. The school, I think, is the highest, and the county's next, and we're the bottom. So,
then it, once again, I think this is on averages, but it's, the school/library gets 46.72%, the county gets 27.45%, and the town gets 25.84%. So we get 1/4 of whatever goes into the pilot. That's based on the numbers he has right
Right.
there. You know, that doesn't mean that's what it'll actually be.
Right. Projections.
Now, I did, God, a long time ago, over a month ago, spoke with Jim Whipple and told him that we were all set so we could negotiate on a pilot so we could start getting all the numbers working. And he said that from their end, they're all set with the exception of Apex hasn't approached them to sit at the table. And I've told them that. And Neil hasn't got an answer for that. You know, insofar as they don't know if they're not ready to put it, why go down and negotiate on a pilot if they don't, or they haven't applied for haven't put it in the application.
Only because I would think they'd want to have their ducks lined up in a row before they do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not telling them what to do or anything, obviously.
So we gotta have a meeting with the county and the school.
No, that's handled through the IDA.
IDA does. So, on the term, let's go back to that then, Article 3, Section 3. You're gonna talk to Laura about that, on the terms?
You mean the length of the agreement?
The length of the agreement, yes.
But it says what it is. It's for the, as long as the project is standing, so you can't put a time limit, you can't say,
We also have to have included, you want that 3.1 put back in again, all the verbiage they removed.
right.
Effective date and expire upon the date of commissioning for all turbines, okay,
Deconditioning.
okay. Okay then, let's move on to Article 4. Post agreement of payments. Here they've added some verbiage and they've removed some verbiage. And they've got blank spots too. As you can see in the one that we have proposed, there does say 10,000 there per megawatt. Theirs, they have a blank space in there yet. I got marked right there, this one. Oh, I see what it is. It's right there after 1, 2, 3, fourth line down. For every year in which the project turbines have valid town permits. And they removed that from theirs. And they put in instead, in which a turbine that is part of the project maintains the certificate.
Right.
Okay? But that's maintaining a certificate versus a town permit. Are we saying it's the same verbiage?
Well, it's gonna be subject, I guess maybe they're claiming that it's not subject to a special use permit, but I think it is, under the zoning law, I'll have to check it, but, I mean, their certificate for operation may not include other things that would be in a special use permit in terms of, you know, berms or vegetation or fences and things like that, so, that should stay in there, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I think they're just looking at it from the standpoint that their operating authority comes from the state, which is true, but the finer things in terms of the aesthetics, to the extent that we can improve those aesthetics, would have to be on the part of the town through the special use permit process.
Okay. They had put in there, under commercial operation date, after that first sentence right there, they included, company will provide notice of the commercial operation date to the town.
That's fine,
That's what I thought, but,
that's fine.
okay.
But you said, this is our figure, the 10,000 in there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
theirs. Okay. You want to scratch that out of there? We're gonna negotiate.
This was just a draft. I gave it to the town, you know, if the town
Okay,
gave
they
it to
didn't,
the
they didn't get
Heritage,
the one
then-
with this, no, I haven't given them anything.
That's the problem, there's so many things floating around, you don't know who's got what.
I would not have sent one to
Well,
Heritage.
I know
without
you wouldn't.
Permission.
Well, I didn't know what you have negotiated or spoken with Laura about, and accordingly, I mean, to our letter that we got, they took ours and they
Yeah,
melded the two, and this is what they came up with. So I thought maybe you may have sent something similar to this to Laura. Okay. Now, a question I have here, Lance, about halfway through that, in the host community payments, we're paid once per year, correct?
Well, that's the way it's set up now. That's the way most of these are set up. It doesn't have to be that way.
Okay.
If you want to be paid quarterly or semi-annually, I'm sure that that's something that should be negotiated as well.
I think, like Larry had pointed out, maybe twice a year.
I would think that'd be
Agreed, gentlemen, you think? Any objections, something like that? Twice a year rather than once a year?
Yeah, I think twice would be better because of the fact if we've got to lose some in one of the other years, we haven't spent it all ahead of time.
They keep remarking here, halfway down through, host fee amounts shall be increased if the megawatts increase and so on. In the actual installed nameplate rated capacity project prorated for any partial year. Starting with a fifth payment of the host fee under this agreement, the host fee shall be adjusted for inflation.
That's the 2.5%.
Exactly. So, should we, instead of saying starting with a fifth payment, starting with a second
You said
payment?
you wanted to make it annual, right?
Yeah,
Instead of 5 years, so yeah.
Second payment.
second payment.
Okay, so where do we go with the, they're using this GDPIP
That shouldn't even be there.
in there, and it says increase or decrease for the purpose of this published. So are they going to decrease some of it if that is lower, or are they going to stay at the same?
That shouldn't even be there in my mind. And if they wanted stuff like that in there, I don't think we've had much to talk about until they're saying one thing out of one side of their mouth and putting in writing something contrary to the 2.5.
Where it can be flexible. And
There is no flexible.
no, it's 2.5 increase every year. Now, they might go for
Unless they
two
were
point.
thinking 2.5 plus an inflation adjustment, but I would doubt that.
I doubt
No.
that.
That'd be nice, though.
Yeah.
I had that dream once.
Now, the one thing, if we go from one payment per year to two payments, when does the 2.5?
Still would be on an annual basis.
Okay.
And it's, each adjustment shall be effective on the commercial operation date anniversary.
I mean, the fact that it's an annual payment, but it's divided up into two,
Yeah.
it's still an annual payment.
Yeah. Okay. So, like Rich says, we may as well just, never mind about the adjustment.
Yeah, I'll talk to them about that, just to make sure that we have clean language about that.
Yeah. Because we're just saying 2.5 every
2.5,
year,
right.
period, cut and dry, no matter what
Right.
the inflation rate is. In most cases, it's less than that. Although we'll probably hit it higher with our luck. See anything else, gentlemen?
I just don't like where they're decommissioning or partial decommissioning, and we lose we lose money on it. Decommissioning, including partial decommissioning or repowering of the host fee amount shall be reduced by the percentage reduction from the nameplate.
Where are you looking at, what section?
That's
Right in the middle.
4.2?
Next door.
4.1.
4.1, right in the
Just
middle.
above where we were talking about, instead of the fifth payment, the second payment, go up a couple sentences, up a couple rows.
Well, I don't know, but I guess the word repowering, I'm not quite. Basically, I know what they're saying, they don't wanna pay a host fee for a portion
I
of
can
the idle
understand.
and not producing electricity.
I can understand that, but,
I think the pro rate should be only if one or however many are decommissioned.
Right.
Okay, fine, but not when they're not operating, we're not, they still owe us the money.
Well, that's what it's, where it says, or repowering, maybe, that's what they had in mind, but that would certainly be something we can look at.
Yeah, because if that works, I got some fields I'm not gonna use this year, so they should be tax exempt.
You're right.
This don't set well with me. I don't blame them for asking, that's what their job is, but
but that's why we're.
our job is to say no.
No, that's right.
Anything else there, gentlemen? Oh, yeah, and that 4.1, the very last sentence, Lance. Once again,
Your 5th anniversary, right?
for the avoidance of doubt, the first four payments will be blank dollars
Yeah.
and adjustment for inflate, that needs to be removed.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. 4.2 then? Termination of host fee for decommissioned turbines. It's the same as what Lance had with the exception of, in that first sentence at the very tail end, after decommission, they put in consistent with any conditions set forth in the certificate. That's the only thing different between what Lance had and what they have.
I'm not sure what they mean by
When in doubt, leave it out.
that. Well, I don't know if it's advantageous or not, I mean, it's something we gotta
I
discuss.
don't, if they want it, I can count my doubts, if they could dots.
You want your zoning law in there? Your special permit in there, you want it?
Or maybe they were trying to do an end run around the special operating permit. I don't know. But I can discuss those things with Laura,
Okay.
because it should probably, if we leave the sentence in, it should say, consistent with any conditions set forth in the certificate or the, or town permits. So, maybe, again, during the special permitting process, there may be things that were required and that may not be required under the operating certificate from the state.
Anything else, guys? Okay, we'll move on to 4.3. Here, there was some of Lance's verbiage was removed in theirs. And I think it was at the tail end. Where was it? I didn't underline it.
Breach of this agreement is what they removed.
And a breach breach of this agreement. That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, because we say it's a breach of the agreement, they say it's just deemed late.
Yeah.
You
So it
know,
appears you're right and they're wrong, and leave it there.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt anything to leave it in there.
Okay. Insist it stay.
I suppose they were looking at it from the standpoint, well, it could be late because of a bookkeeping snafu or computers down. They didn't, it's not like an intentional breach of the agreement, but it really, as far as I'm concerned, it really doesn't mean much one way or the other.
Okay, set with 4.3? 4.4 then, credit for town taxes following expiration of pilot agreement. Now here, they added a lot. The whole first sentence was all brand new, and the very last sentence is all brand new. Robin, do you need a drink of water?
I brought some, thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
I've been drinking on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my bottle, why'd you take it?
Left handed. Cheers. I'll have some.
That first line that they have, that's just descriptive, it's not substantive.
Okay.
And the last thing was that the town and company agreed to work with each other in the IDA to have the pilot agreement payments split in accordance with the shares established by the respective tax rates of all involved tax jurisdictions for the set of fiscal years tied to the last assessment. It's, again, more procedural rather than substantive.
So that's okay then too? Okay.
But in essence, aren't they just trying to guarantee the pilot payment longer than our agreement?
No.
No?
Well, it's a little bit of a clawback, so at the expiration of the pilot agreement, okay, it's saying the company has the right to claim a credit against the next following host fee owed by the company in an amount equal to the amount by which the general fund and highway fund ad valorem taxes levied on the project exceed the town's portion of the final pilot payment. So essentially, if the town were to get $8,000, just for argument's sake, or $10,000 for argument's sake, and at the end of the pilot, they're required to pay anything in excess of that, they get a credit for that excess. And that's, I've seen that in virtually every one of these community host agreements that I've looked at.
Thank you.
Any other questions or statements about 4.4? Okay. 4.5 in their post is all brand new. We didn't have 4.5 in ours, so that's all brand new 4.5. That's our old one, but that's ours. which is now 4.6 in theirs. But in theirs, the one that they just sent us, 4.5 is all brand new. We didn't have any of that before.
And I look at that as an attempt to get in our short for the library tax and the fire tax coming out of the pilot. It's worded weird, I think.
Well, I think what it's saying is, all right, so let's say we have an agreement with the IDA on the pilot amount. So what it says is, I don't see how this is gonna happen, but, in the event the IDA agrees to a total annual payment in lieu of tax, less than so much per megawatt of nameplate, then that reduction is gonna go, whatever that reduction is, that amount that it's reduced by goes to the town. And vice versa, if for some reason their percentage increases over the basic rate, that our payment would go down by that amount. But it seems to me we're gonna have an agreement, so I don't know when this would come into play, quite frankly. Unless the pilot, the only way I can see it coming into effect is if the pilot agreement is for a shorter period of time than what the project is, and they have to do a new pilot agreement, and for some reason, either the payment on the pilot goes up or down.
Exactly.
Now, but if the rate is still the same, let's say that after 10 years, they have to either go, yeah.
Well, let's say after 10 years or whatever the term of the pilot is, they say, no, instead of 20%, we want 30% of the payment.
But we already have a contract with them for 80%.
Well,
How would that change us from 80 to 70? They can't force us, can they?
yeah, we probably can, sure. If you have a pilot agreement, sure. Because you're signing that agreement's gonna contain probably similar language.
So why does the pilot take precedence over the host?
Well, it's because the other taxing authorities may feel that they're not getting adequate payment. You know, look, you've got a school budget, the school budget increases, so they say, look, we need more money, we need more money on the pilot, so they decide that they can't reallocate what's there, they may have to increase the total pilot payment to get the school district the money it needs, and we would be the ones to theoretically take the hit.
So it'd be advantageous for us to have a pilot
The longer the better, yeah.
that would run parallel with our host,
Yeah.
period.
But there are
Expiration is upon decommissioning, in other
But
words.
there are time limits on these pilots. I think that they can only go through the IDA. I may be wrong, but I think it's 15 years, and I think they can be renewed.
That's what I heard. I think that's what I heard too. So do we need this in here? Because really, that's like between us and IDA.
Well, no, because they're paying that, I mean, the company's paying you that host fee, so yeah, if they're a signatory to this, you can't say, well, they're excluded from it.
I understand that.
You have to be sure the pilot does what you want it to with the IDA.
So other than maybe projecting what they're trying to say, or it's okay, we should keep that in there then, huh?
Well, again, it's the same thing. You can say, I almost think it's necessary, so.
You do? Okay. Okay. Any other disgruntled comments?
Well, what I was talking about before in our agreement was 4.5, and they got it as 4.6. And this is where I'm not, explain to me why, I think they're trying to take out of our host agreement the amount of money that they're charged for a special district.
No, that 4.6 was 4.5 of the original.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's all it's saying is, okay, so we know what the taxes are now, okay? All this is saying is that in the event that there's a special tax that's imposed, I don't know, let's say,
Fire tax,
huh?
fire tax.
Fire tax.
No, because that's already part of the tax sum.
You're telling me that the library and the special district taxes are part of the host agreement?
They should be part of the pilot because when you get a bill from the county, right, county town tax, it includes the fire district tax and it includes usually a library tax. So maybe it should be clarified, so this should probably say in the event a new special ad valorem tax. So it wouldn't apply to any existing fire district taxes or whatever. Now, let's say they're gonna build a sewer system in the town of Barre. So that would be a special ad valorem tax. That would be something that wasn't contemplated at the time of this agreement.
Well, that should be spelled out, but I'm still hung up over the fact that I think when we have a host agreement, it doesn't include the fire district or the library, yes or no?
Yes, it does.
Well, it sucks,
Right, well,
because they get that's another percentage to be held from our pocket.
but if it's the overall percentage is 80-20, I'm just using it as an example, that 20 is what gets distributed amongst the taxing authorities, including the fire district.
So the fire people do get money.
Yeah.
But not their tax rate money is what he's saying, they'll be
Well, nobody
prorated.
gets their tax rate money in a pilot, that's,
But they haven't addressed the fire district in this, they haven't addressed the school in
Not
the
the pilot.
county, in the pilot. They haven't addressed the fire district in the county.
well, that should be clarified, that it includes any current taxes that are being assessed at the county
Okay.
town level or school.
Well, that just raises the amount of money we need.
Right.
Now you're 16,000, Sean.
I like it. It seems to me the conversation I had with Jim Whipple way back when you and I met, that he was saying that the only tax entities in the pilot would be the county, the town, and the school.
That's correct.
Those are the only three that it seems to me that Whipple had pointed out to us in our meeting.
That's
Nobody
correct.
else.
They always pay the ad valorem in full.
But we'd asked something about the fire, and my impression was that it isn't included.
That's what I remember.
Because of being a fire district.
Wow, we'll have to clarify that. It's my understanding, we're talking about doing this, that we didn't separate out the fire district, because here's what happens. If they're separated out, so now they decide they're gonna build a new fire hall, they're gonna have a special assessment for that, then that additional tax would come out of community host share of it.
Well, I guess there's several ways to look at it, but to me, the library and special district tax for the fire company, fire district, should not be included in the host fee, because when I pay my town taxes, the fire district and the library isn't included in it, so I don't see any reason to include the windmill project in it. An apple's an apple.
I guess I'm not following what you're saying.
I'm
Let's
saying,
say
I don't like it because they think they ought to be included in the host
counted
agreement.
against the host fee.
Yeah. Because on my tax bill, I get a separate bill for it, and they should too. And if they can't belly up to the table, then too bad.
You don't, okay.
That's
I
just-
know when I
that's
get my
me.
bill, it's got, I don't know about, because I don't have a fire district, but the library tax is right in the tax bill.
Separate item.
Separate item, but collected, but, you know.
But listed in, right on down through.
Same as fire,
Right.
but it's a separate item. And they want to include it in
Well,
what
if
should be
They
the
want to,
town
you're
and
saying
county's
they want to
money.
use it as an offset against the payments of the town, right? To
Yeah.
decrease the payments of the town.
I do understand that. But
That's
I
gonna
don't
throw it
like
all on the town and off the
Come on,
county.
Conrad, you know that this is not appropriate. Come on.
Yeah, well,
It's not, and you know it. Have
can I
a
get a
little-
copy of that?
Have a little
marked
respect
up?
for the board and the process.
Which is right.
You said that you're gonna check into that?
Yeah.
then? Okay.
There's nothing to is etched in stone as far as I know, so.
No.
Me neither. That's why we're doing this.
This was a draft for general educational purposes.
Okay. 4.6, section 4.6, special district tax.
That's what we've been talking about.
Yep. 4.7, request to town assessor, that's all brand new. That wasn't in our original. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Which one are you under? 4.7 or 5?
Yeah, it's just basically saying, they're asking the town assessor to try to establish the values for the project. But then it's saying that it's not binding on the town assessor, nothing shall constitute admission as to the value by either the town or the company. Or the company's right to challenge the full value assessment on the project. So,
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't that a normal activity though, that would happen whether that clause was in there or not?
Probably. I mean, the assessor has to come up with a value.
Somebody likes to make paper for it.
That's this one. That's the one you give me to start.
Rich, you know we lawyers get paid by the word, so, you know.
Yep. Amen.
Okay with that one then. Article 5, road use reinforcement and repair. Now, with this one, they included halfway through that paragraph, and the town's commitment to consent to the company's use of town roads for the company's infrastructure. The company's infrastructure. And they did include in here though, the town highway superintendent and the county highway superintendent. Now, to let you know, guys, unless you tell me not to, I was planning after our meeting here with this, I had planned on taking 3 copies of what they gave us. And I was gonna give a copy to the town superintendent, the county superintendent, and one to our assessor. And have them go through it and mark it up as far as what they think. They think some changes should be made, additions or deletions, if that's quite all right, you know. But that's what I thought I would do next. I didn't want to have it before we met to kind of mess things up a little bit.
Just make sure the one you sent out, there's no figures of dollars and cents.
It's going to be their copy where they got the links,
Okay, it's fine with me now.
their copy only. Because from the superintendents, once again, it's on the roads. I'm making sure we have the right verbiage in there as far as the superintendents are concerned for the town and the county. Anything having to do with the road use, reinforcement, and repair. That first paragraph. Like I said, they included that one sentence, and that's okay, Lance?
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's go down to Article 6. Now, our Article 6 that Lance gave us is about 4 pages long and has to do with companies' commitments and obligations under the special permit. They eliminated that altogether, from what I can tell. So,
I think they did it only because I think their claim is that all the stuff is gonna be reviewed at the state level. I'm not agreeing that should be deleted by any means.
okay.
I can ask, doesn't mean we have to agree.
That's one of those for you and Laura again then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, their Article 6, on ours was Article 7, compliance with law. And here, once again, they eliminated some of the verbiage that Lance had in there.
Yeah, because they keep deleting anything referring to a special permit.
Which is the last sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need to, they have to apply for a special permit on each and every wind turbine, right? Or wind turbine? As well as a collection station. Then that should be back in there.
Transmission lines, too, I would say.
Because that is our laws, rules, regulations for the town. And therefore, they should follow those as far as a special use permit is concerned on any structures they have.
So just leave it in.
Yeah, it's not acceptable.
Okay? So that's once again, tell Laura to put that in.
Yeah.
Okay, then we're to complaint resolution program. Well, on ours it says process, on theirs it says program.
Well, excuse me.
And reach over here, I want to slap you.
I don't blame you.
They rewrote that altogether.
The complaint resolution process? No.
Well, they have this complaint resolution program.
Well, either way,
But what your sentence is completely different from theirs.
right, because I wanted it attached as a part of this agreement, and theirs is simply saying, compliance with the complaint management program will be a condition of the Article 10 certificate. And I would much rather have that outlined ahead of time so that we can look at it.
Okay. So no to
I'll
that,
put no.
okay.
Good job.
Okay, now, monitoring and reporting requirements. On-site monitor. Lance's copy had three rows, really one sentence, and they've got half a page.
Yeah, I read this is fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't diminish the on-site monitor's responsibilities or the fact that the company would pay for it.
Okay.
Where they've got dates in this thing, Lance, should that be in there or say 5 working days instead of just 5 days?
Well, let's see, I mean, you're looking at 9.2, right?
Yeah,
Where I had, the company has 5 days after it's received the notice, right?
Yeah.
What did they put in here?
in reading through it, I only saw one place they said business days, the rest were just the date, the number of days.
Well, this is for, we hire the on-site monitor, we have to tell them who it is, and they have 5 days to come back and say, we object, and here's why.
Okay.
So 5 days rather than 5 business days is fine.
All right. I'm just looking at some of this stuff that if it comes in on a Friday night, that Saturday and Sunday is counted as days. That's all. Particularly for us getting back to them.
Well, then if you want to say, I mean, I don't need to.
I mean, I'm just bringing it up.
Because it says if the company raises objection, the town and company agree to meet within 3 days of the town's receipt of the company's form. So, I mean, if you want business days, that's fine.
I just thought we could be consistent with it. That's all.
I'll take business days.
Change it any or their feelings on it.
That's no problem.
Because the next one under that, 9-3, they've got 10 business days.
And this,
That's all I was questioning.
they eliminated this, what was 9.3 in ours, responsibilities of on-site construction monitor. I don't know why they took that out, but that should stay in.
Okay. The one I got is in it.
Town engagement. Yeah, they, just, I don't like the way they changed that.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't see anything wrong with the way it was written in the original one, and why do they want it changed? There's gotta be a reason.
You talking about their section 8.1?
Yeah, well, they only, yeah, right, the one
Well, they're
that's all
able-
in blue.
All right, that basically, it doesn't, I mean, to me, it just basically says, All right, here's one thing it says. It says that if there's a, where is this? All right. Required to comply with the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, and the Energy Conservation Code of New York State, which the town agrees supersedes any local electrical, plumbing, and building codes. Well, we've already adopted the state code, so there's really no conflict anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Those all for you?
If you want to.
It's supper.
Yeah.
Well, set with that.
But it looks like R 9.3 they took out, and that should stay in. It
Yeah.
says the responsibilities of the on-site construction monitor.
They did eliminate that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it necessary?
Mm-hmm. I think it should be in there.
Okay.
So we're on Article 9 or 10?
Well, now you'd be comparing my 9.4 to their 8.3, which looks to me the same.
Yep. And our 9.5 and 8.4 are the same.
Yep.
Emergency notifications, they're 8.5, our 9.6. Question I had here was they eliminated the New York State Public Service Commission, which we had in ours. But they did not put it in theirs.
Which one are you on?
8.5 on theirs,
Okay, this is 9.6 and it's in here.
9.6 in ours.
Okay.
We had listed the New York State Public Service Commission. They eliminated that. They listed all the other departments, but not that one.
It says in here, the on-site monitor of the circumstances, events requiring the initial reporting, the frequency requiring that, all written reports. Shouldn't we add in there that the town supervisor should be notified independently of that, so we'd have an idea what's coming on or going on?
Wouldn't hurt anything.
Because we're gonna have to wait till the on-site monitor gets back to us on this. Unless they send out an email of some sort. I just feel that we should be up to date if emergency arises, that we know what's going on.
That's in section 9.5 though, in a way. It says on-site monitor shall provide.
8.5.
You're talking about
Those are the
reports?
copies of his
Yeah.
reports.
Yeah, this is
Quarterly
emergency
reports.
notification.
Okay. That should be just standard in there, you're right.
We need Sean to have another headache, they don't have to notify me.
Well, I mean, if the on-site monitor is contacted, I can't imagine he's not gonna, she is not gonna contact.
You would hope.
I would hope, but I
Supervisor
just,
slash superintendent probably too. So the question is, well, two of them, do we need to put the New York State Public Service Commission in here?
I did, I mean,
Yeah, I would say they should be listed in there. Number two, to have it spelled out in here as well about supervisor slash superintendent.
Sure.
Or are they just assuming that the on-site monitor would notify us?
Well, I'm sure that's what they're assuming.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it than assume it. I was assuming I was gonna be rich today too. Didn't happen.
That was last week.
I've been assuming it for quite a while, rich.
Anything else with 6 hours, 8-5 there's emergency notifications? Okay. Now, Article 9, this is all brand new. We don't have it in ours. Building plan approvals, construction oversight, and certificates of completion. That is something that they had included in theirs. Now, here they talk about the on-site monitor working with the town CEO or the highway superintendent. Should be or and or. Because you don't want one being replaced by the other one when it might not be related to that person's job description, sort of say.
Where you looking?
Very first sentence of 9.1 on there. This is all brand new, the Article 9, building plan, first sentence. On the on-site monitor working with the town CEO or town highway. Well, if I can't get a hold of the CEO, then the town superintendent can step in? I don't think so.
I don't think that's what it really meant, what it was meant to say. It's just depending upon what the issue was, who was gonna be consulted, whether it was gonna be you as a supervisor or the highway superintendent.
Well, the CEO is not me, that's the
Code
Code
enforcement.
enforcement, yeah.
yeah.
But like Dale would be notified if it's training on roads or something there, and Shelley, would it be on buildings with the codes?
Well, it's just as the case may be, so it's
Oh, I-
depending on, you know.
Right.
Sorry. So if we're not reading all the way.
I think you would probably balk at their 9.2. It basically says they're gonna submit building plans, and then you're supposed to either approve or not approve in 10 days, which may not be.
Well, it'd be a little difficult to approve if they submit it like 2 days after a board meeting.
Well, I would say just strike that last one in 10 days. Because that, you know, just says you'll review and approve. Well, I don't know if you'll review and approve.
Well, before we could approve,
You would say take out and approve, because you don't know if you're gonna approve, right?
true.
So you will review it.
That's
for the
their
purpose of
assuming that we
issuing
will
a-
automatically do
Yeah.
it.
So you'll review it, but I don't want you to say that you're bound to approve it. Wow. 9.3, again, it's, Yeah, the concept here in 9.3 is fine, but all they're saying here is, if they tell you, for example, that they've got a turbine that's ready to go, and it says you, the town, will by the end of the next business day following its receipt of a completion notice, and they call that the evaluation period, issue either a certificate of completion or a temporary certificate, and then later on it says, but if you have an objection, you have to give them a list of what you feel are the deficiencies. I just don't think one day is enough time.
Absolutely not.
I mean, because you're gonna have input from the on-site monitor, you know, who's gonna tell us whether or not they're in compliance, and you may not be able to get a hold of that person within 24 hours. I just think that's not a realistic time frame.
What do you think is?
I would say probably 7 business days or something like that.
Okay, now you're going back to business days.
Could be. I mean, I would think that would give somebody enough time to say, you know, yeah, this is good, or no, it's bad, and here's why it's bad, and here's what you have to fix.
Okay. Anything else with 9.3?
No.
9.4?
To me, that just seems superfluous. It says, in the event the town finds that a turbine foundation or any of the component of the project, including the interconnection facilities, that requires review and approval, as the case may be, has been constructed in accordance with the New York State Fire Prevention and Building Code, the town will issue the company a certificate of completion confirming that the turbine foundation or any of the component, including the interconnection facilities, that requires review and approval, as the case may be, has been constructed in accordance with that. I mean, I think that's what the whole purpose of section 9.3 is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's needed, but I can discuss it with Laura.
Okay.
Oh, this is certificate of completion. All right, that's all right. I'm looking at 9.5. Okay, during the evaluation period.
But they're both offshoots from 9.3, because that
Yes.
was discussed in 9.3.
Yeah, but 9.4 is okay. I mean, it's just saying, if you've done your review and everything is fine,
They
you'll
expect a
issue
certificate of
the
completion.
permit.
Okay.
Now, 9.5. Okay, so this says, if we if everything looks good except for certain outstanding conditions such as landscaping, restoration, or other items that cannot be completed due to weather or similar reasons, the town will issue the company a temporary certificate of completion. Temporary certificate may be issued by the town for a 6-month period, renewed by the town board for up to 6 months at a time, as long as efforts are being made to complete compliance with all conditions.
Never heard of such a thing.
Hmm?
Under what other circumstances would we issue a permit under temporary?
So what they're saying is, okay, we put up the turbine, it's constructed properly, it meets the fire safety codes, the building codes, but we haven't done all the other collateral stuff that's required by the special permit, like landscaping or whatever. So they're saying, they're asking that we issue a temporary certificate to give them time to do all that stuff. In the meantime, the thing can,
But we're doing something for them that we wouldn't do for somebody with an occupancy permit of a house. If you don't have water running in your house, you don't get a partial occupancy.
well,
You get none.
some places do issue temporary C of Os. I don't know if Barre does, but I'm saying there are municipalities that do issue temporary C of Os. And that's what this is basically, temporary certificate, like a certificate of occupancy, a certificate of compliance.
I just would never give them one.
Okay, well.
That's only me, you know.
I don't
I'm not
mind-
advocating for or against, I'm just trying to explain, that's all.
Yeah,
I don't mind the 6-month period because of, let's say, weather conditions,
It says weather, due to weather or similar reasons.
but I do not agree with extending up to another 6 months. They got 6 months. 6 months, that weather's gonna get good enough for them to do whatever they need to come into compliance with it. But anything beyond 6 months, no, I don't see any reason for that. That's just my feeling on that once again. Gentlemen,
Yeah.
I know how you feel.
it's all right. It is what it is.
I mean, it's like, you know, if it's November, December, when they finally get one of them up and running and everything, but you can't put in the greenery, you know, or whatever shrubbery they're gonna put in. They can't properly narrow the roads, because they're gonna put in wide roads for their equipment, excess roads, and they're not gonna be able to narrow them down because of the weather at that time, and the snow and everything, so.
I don't think you'd be putting shrubs in. I haven't seen one of them had shrubs.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just,
Yeah.
you know, once again, I'm thinking like Lance said landscaping or whatever.
Well, that's what it even says, in it.
Yeah, it does say landscaping.
Hayfields.
Yeah. Okay then,
Yeah.
letter B.
This is just saying that, okay, so you've issued a temporary permit or certificate, now they come back to you and they say, we've done everything else now we want a final certificate. So,
That one's okay then. Commercial operation, 9.6 on theirs.
that's new too, right?
Yep. Yep, I couldn't find that.
Maybe it's leaving on this other, is it?
No, it's not on ours. That's something new they wrote. Now, the question I have with this, they're saying that no energy can be sold until they get the certificate of completion.
But, then there's the but,
Yeah.
provided however, power may be generated and sold from any turbine for which the evaluation period, that would have been the 7 business days, has expired and the town has not issued a certificate of completion, a temporary certificate of completion or deficiency notice. In other words, if the 7 days goes by and the town does nothing, they don't say yay or nay, they're saying automatically it's a yay. That's what this says.
This whole paragraph bothers me on another point. Maybe I'm missing something here. Based on conversations I've had with Neil, he had said that no energy would be sold until the whole plant is up. All,
I doubt that.
that's what I thought too, and he said no, they wouldn't be selling any. So if they start, it's gonna take them, what, a year and a half to get all the turbines put up and operational?
I don't know what they're.
So if they get turbine number 1 and 2 up in the first 2 months, they can start selling energy off of that. The minute they start selling the energy is when the host agreement kicks in and they gotta be paying for all 33 turbines?
No, they only pay for the ones that are working.
See, that's what bothers me with this right here, is what is commercial operation? When does that really start
When they
based
start
on?
selling
To the grid.
to the grid.
Because I told them, I can't see you not selling any electric off of those turbines if you've got some up. Even a year later, when you're not even completed yet, you're gonna let them sit idle.
No, they're not gonna do
No,
that.
I didn't think so, but that's what he's told me that they,
Pretty bad business plan if that's
He
the
probably
case.
doesn't
so how do we,
If he doesn't, they're gonna
how
sell
do
it.
we address that with them?
Oh, the thing is, we gotta look at transmission lines and that, because they can put a tower up one place if they don't have transmission line to go to that.
Mhm.
Or the building by the grid to put this all into. They've got the terminology here. So, I mean, they haven't addressed how they're doing this. All they've addressed, a lot of it is putting the tower up.
Yeah, but I mean, if they put a tower up and it's not connected to the grid, it's not.
No, I understand that, but say they are going to, as John was saying, they want to sell some out, they've got to have it running someplace.
Right.
I guess, I'd like to know how they're doing it. Are they gonna run one grid per place, or splice them together, or I mean, transmission line, or what? I'm just interested in how they're setting these out and how they're running their lines through, and
It's all gotta go through that.
is the construction of the transfer station gonna be first before the towers, or what?
And the payment process is all based on the anniversary date of when they're in operation, when the whole plant is in operation. That's when the payments start, they
No,
say. It's gotta be
It's
sooner.
gotta be when, if they put
It's
up one turbine,
right.
and it's operating, they gotta pay.
Operating insofar as providing electric to the grid.
Otherwise, they never complete it.
Right.
At least I wouldn't.
So we need that spelled out in here somewhere, though, do we not?
Well, let's see. What do we say here?
No, then I have another chocolate chip.
They're gonna have to build a transfer station first.
You think so? They build the nest, and then the egg comes and the chicken.
Yeah. Because they can't sell anything until they have that. Well, I mean, if you go back to the host community payments, section 4.1, it says, based on the installed nameplate rated capacity of the project for every year in which the project turbines have valid town permits, commercial operation that occurs when electricity generated from project turbines, it doesn't say all project turbines, is first delivered for sale to the utility customer. I mean, we can certainly clarify that, but I read that as per turbine. They don't wait until whatever 30 or 37 are erected before they start generating
No,
power.
they're gonna, as soon as they can get one.
Yeah, they're gonna make money, you know.
And how do we work that throughout the year? How do we address the payments? Because they're gonna vary. As another one comes online, as another one comes online.
They'll be prorated, but, you know, I mean, if, for example, they got a turbine up in the 5th month, all right, so it'll be prorated for 7 months. Now, if you got a semi-annual payment coming up, maybe it'll only be for 1 month, and then you get 6 months on the next go around. I mean, that's an accounting issue, but I don't know that we have to spell it out.
Okay. Are we set with 967?
Yeah.
97, denial of permits or disputes regarding certificates of completion. Third-party independent engineer.
Who picks it? Well, this is the only thing is, you know, this is, I mean, the process again is fine, but this is basically saying if the town says, you know, we're not granting approval for this particular turbine or whatever, then it says this is gonna go to an independent engineer, right?
Yeah, third-party independent engineer.
And that the cost of that would be shared equally by the town and the company. It says the independent engineer shall have 7 days to complete its analysis, so.
Why would we
guess, you know, again, I'm not advocating one or the other, but it's sort of like an arbitration. So if you have an arbitration, typically both sides, each side pays half of the cost of the arbitration. And this is similar in terms of the process. So,
Doesn't our ordinance say they pay it all?
but
Our ordinance says that they have to pay it all.
it doesn't say specifically on, in terms of a dispute over the validity of the construction. Yeah, I mean, they have to pay our on-site monitors and stuff like that. I mean, again, this is just what they put in here. It's not something we, you know, if you want to say they pay for the whole thing, okay.
That's what I would say.
I think, I agree with Rich on that and say that they should bear the cost. Everything else looks okay with it. The independent engineer is not satisfied with the completeness of the installation. The town shall either issue a temporary certificate of completion, or the company shall cure the indicated deficiencies as required by the independent engineer as quickly as possible, reasonably
I
practical.
just think the 7 days to complete its analysis, again, that may be kind of an arbitrary, I would think they might, the engineer, you know, again, they're busy, they have other things they're working on, so I would think we would want to have a longer time period than 7 days.
Who picks the engineer?
Well,
We do. The town, mine and the fire.
I would think we would want to anyway.
Absolutely.
I think someplace in here in the picking, he said.
it
that
says
he's
the
gonna-
company and the town shall engage a third-party independent engineer with winded project experience to review the company's completion numbers.
I ain't gonna get somebody in 7 days if you come to dispute.
Hmm?
You ain't gonna get anybody here in 7 days.
No, of course not.
Say 14 business days?
Oh, I would say even 30 days.
That's what I was gonna think, 30.
For this.
30
These
days. then?
days,
Yeah,
Okay, 30 days, not 30 business days.
yeah. As far as who selects it, I mean, right now they're saying it's a joint selection process. If you want to say it's up to the town rather than joint selection,
I'd rather be joint selection.
joint.
Let's hear who they have to offer. We don't have to select or agree
Right,
with it.
right, no.
And that last sentence there, I'd like to eliminate. If the independent engineer is not satisfied with the completeness of the installation, they have, the town shall either issue a temporary certificate of completion, or the company shall cure the indicated deficiencies. I'd like to scratch out, the town shall either issue a temporary certificate of completion, and just have it say that they will cure the indicated deficiencies.
Makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Anything else in A, gentlemen? It's gonna be just like our solar law. We'll be going through it 10 more times, probably, still finding things.
Oh, so it's B that's the real,
B, any denial?
yeah, because it basically it says it goes to the town board for an appeal, which shall issue a final determination of the appeal within 30 days from the application of appeal. And if the town board upholds the denial or approval with conditions, the company finds unacceptable, the company will satisfy its administrative remedies and may commence an Article 78 proceeding against the town review such denial or approval action. So, what I'm saying is, they put something up, we say, no, it ain't good. They try to cure it, we say, no, it's still not good.
And that's based on the independent engineer's
Yep.
review.
Mhm.
So then they can go in Article 78 on us.
Yep, well, first they have to come to the town board, and puts you in the, it puts you in the role of adjudicating a dispute. And then if they're not happy with what the town board decides, yeah, they can bring in Article 78.
Right.
So now you're involved in litigation with your,
58558977213.
it's like suing your brother, you know?
Mhm.
So your recommendation on this, sir? You want to look it over and chew it in a little bit?
Call from 5855.
Well, you know, to be honest, I suppose, let's say this wasn't in here at all, okay? So let's say we went through the process and we said, nope, we don't approve your certificate. We don't agree that things have been fixed. We don't agree that it's in compliance. I suppose they could, if we didn't have any of this language in here, I suppose they could go ahead and bring in Article 78 anyway.
They're just giving us a heads up that they may do it, that's all.
Yeah, so I don't really think that it adds or detracts from anything, you know.
That's one reason why I think that that independent engineer, third party, should be someone that we both,
Yeah, or I
That
suppose,
kinda covers
you know,
our
you could
butts.
add another layer and say, okay, it goes to the zoning board of appeals, or it goes to the planning board, and then if they don't get relief at the planning board, it could go to the town board, and then they would have been deemed to exhaust their administrative remedies. I mean, you could add another layer of administrative review if that's what you want to do. But at some point, yeah, I mean, if they think that the town is being arbitrary and capricious about it, then, you know, they could bring in Article 78 anyway. I think they would have standing to do it. And I imagine they would probably, you know, just thinking out loud, they'd probably be opposed to adding another layer because that simply delays the process.
It's gonna delay the whole process another 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. I mean,
Still a delay.
what are the, you know, really, you gotta look at this in terms of, what are the chances, what are the odds? These are things that are constructed, I'm not saying they're cookie cutter, because
Yeah.
obviously there are geological differences where they go up, but the process is the same, and the equipment's the same, so,
this is just a what if.
yeah, it's a what if. So, and what,
Odds are
how do you
certainly
perceive
small.
that to be a real risk, you know?
Now, going through Article 10, and the state's involved, should we have one of their agencies involved with this right here as well?
Well, I don't know.
I know, once again,
can't-
that'll slow it down even
yeah,
more.
You can't force them to do that. Once you get the state involved.
Well, they can force it on us, but we can't force anything on them.
God knows how long it would take if you if you got them involved, really.
Lord.
Look at Water District 9.
Well, there's a perfect example.
Yep. Okay, so your recommendation is we just leave that one as is?
I don't see this being any problem.
Okay, then 9.8, limitation of section.
I don't see that as a problem either.
No, that looks okay. Okay, Article 10.
I don't like the way they did it. I mean, they basically said the decommissioning plan will be developed and included in the Article 10 application. We said that they would have to provide a decommissioning plan as, again, part of this agreement. Know everything ahead of time, not wait until the application is filed.
Okay.
So scratch their wish list.
I would say that we leave what we have in here, because we also have the provision that says failure to perform decommissioning.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna say use hours.
We've got quite a lengthy section compared to only their 2 sentences. Okay, fire protection, control, and safety.
I think that looks the same as ours.
I think so. Yeah, it's all the same. Now, under fire protection, one thing, because so many people have talked about these catching fire, and yeah, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they, more often than they do today because of technology, but I checked into fire suppression systems that are placed into these, and I noticed that with the one that they're talking about, was the 186 Vertex, or I can't remember the name, but they do have a fire suppression system in the nacelle, more specifically around the electronic panel. So if anything starts on fire, then it automatically has the suppression system that sprays onto the electrical to put out the fire. And I said, well, what about with the oil component that's in there, if something were to catch fire with the oil itself? I said, much like in my boat, I've got one of those fire suppression systems around the engines that knocks down the fire by robbing the oxygen. They said, yeah, that is a good idea, but what if you have a worker in there? I said, when a fire's going on? And he said, if we have a worker in there and that goes off, then you're robbing the oxygen on that worker that's in there. So they did not want that kind of responsibility or to have that happen to one of their workers in the nacelle. So the only fire suppression system they have in there is just for the electrical panel, the circuitry and everything. They don't say anything about that here, but that does, I saw that in the write-up on this turbine they're talking about using here, that it does have fire suppression systems in it.
I don't see, to be honest with you, why the town of Barre Board should even be addressing Article 11. There's a fire district, there's a fire company, and how can we sit here and say, and there will be an annual meeting with the fire chief? We don't control it. And as far as I know, they provided training to the fire company already and basically told them, stay back.
Yeah,
We'll
that-
handle it.
Well,
And they stay back until somebody from West Virginia gets here with their parachute or something. I don't know. It seems silly to me.
Are they gonna train the fire company?
the
No, they don't.
the conversation that I've had with them and some others, not just Apex, is that basically the local people, because they're afraid of them getting injured trying to get up there to put out the fire, is that they let the fire go ahead and burn. The whole responsibility of our fire company is to cordon off the area and make sure nobody gets close to it. And that's quite a distance, it's not like right just at the base.
Well, it happens in the
And they
middle of the
basically
concrete.
let it burn out on its own. They will get their people here after the fire has gone, they'll get their people here. And then after the fire has gone out, then they will go on up and assess the damage and what has to be done and
But
go
it's
from
so-
there. But
Sean,
they do not go on up there and fight the fire themselves
no.
even.
No, they can't.
But I'm saying we
Can't.
don't have the authority to say anything about what the fire company's gonna agree to.
No,
plus
So
if
we
it-
shouldn't have
true.
this paragraph in there.
Yeah, but if it tips over and there's a cornfield or there is a house nearby,
We don't do fire control. The fire district and the fire company does. That's where I'm
Yeah,
coming
but
from.
the whole idea of this
Here-
is to make them get together to come up with a.
exactly, yeah.
I can't imagine, why would a fire company say, no, we're not gonna do that? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Why does it make sense to us to have to tell them that?
they
Well-
should meet them.
Because you're putting the onus on the company, not the fire company.
Right.
You're putting the onus on Heritage, because they've got to do it, they've got to initiate the plan, they've got to initiate the meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's what they're going to do, is they're promising to have the
I
meetings.
don't know how they fight the fire, because these ones they're talking about, they have an elevator in it. If there's a fire up there,
Nobody's going up.
yeah,
No.
so they'll just let it burn out, that's it.
And hope there's no.
Okay, so you're saying this puts a responsibility on the wind company?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I was taking it the other way. As long as the town of Barre has no responsibility. I'm wrong, thank you.
No, you're not.
You're looking for clarification. Okay, limited coverage and indemnification.
This is 12,
12.
Article 12.
I'm in Article 12 and Article 13. Depends on what one you're looking at.
I don't know about you.
Well, I know one thing, you're gonna give me the right one next time.
Everybody else has got the right
I'm
ones.
going through two of them all the time.
Everything, I throw things away. Maybe a year or two later.
Okay, insurance. This, the first 12-1, looks like there's no change.
Well, 13-1 here has $1 million coverage. 12-1 here don't have any coverage.
I told you to tear
Leave it
this
there,
up.
leave it there. That one over there I tore up.
I don't know where you got this one from.
Made it up.
You're the only one with this. That's gotta be one of the older ones, way back before this. We don't have that number. None of the rest of us have that.
That's all right, I just got the same wording.
I didn't look through, I don't know if there've been any, I can't tell if there are any changes or not, that's why.
In that first 12.1, there's no change. Verbiage is all the same.
Okay.
So we aren't putting a number that they gotta have $1 million coverage. Says the company shall maintain or cause to be maintained insurance against risk for such amounts, but not less than $1 million.
No,
That's very little.
just says, as are customarily insured against by businesses of like size and type.
Okay.
And that they have to prove
Right.
such insurance to the town annually. Indemnification of town. I said it that time.
I didn't see any change, but.
Okay, I don't see anything either on 12.2. A, B, hold harmless and defense against actions. C, I didn't see any changes in it. Nothing in C that has changed. Twelve three, indemnification of company. Now, well, I'll come back to that in a minute.
Well, actually, I think their 12.3 is more accurate. It looks like when 12.3 was done, they left that clause out.
You left what out?
Well, where it talks about, if you read the 12.3 in our version,
Mm-hmm.
it says, including without limitation reasonable attorney's fees caused by, arising out of, or incurred as a result of A, the acts or omissions or willful misconduct of the town. So that's not, that's, what they're saying is that those things are excluded. So, obviously, if the town did something, an act, so now it says except for, it says the town shall indemnify, hold harmless, and defend the company against any and all damages, blah, 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 caused by, arising out of, or incurred as a result of acts or omissions or willful misconduct of the town, breach of any obligation, covenant, or undertaking by the town contained herein, any misrepresentation or breach of warranty on the part of the town. The only change I would probably suggest, where it talks about acts or omissions, because that can refer to something that's not willful. So I would maybe add where it has A, where it says the acts or omissions,
Omissions of
say the
willful.
willful acts or omissions.
Okay.
I just wonder why we'd agree to any of that.
That's usually, in most contracts, is a mutual indemnification provision. So it says, look, if the company does something that gets the town in trouble, the company is responsible to the town for reimbursement for whatever damages or legal fees or whatever. And typically, you have a mutual indemnification that's all right. So if the town does something, it's going to be deliberately harmful to the company.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I don't agree with it.
okay.
The word they have, defend the company. The town shall indemnify, hold harmless, and defend the company.
Mhm.
What do they mean by defend the company?
Well,
Shouldn't do that.
Like if they burn a field down?
it's basically if the town screws up and costs them money because you've done something that's deliberately harmful, that's all.
As long as, okay, the town. I'm just wondering if they screw up, do we have to?
Yeah, that's the first part of it, indemnification by the company. This is indemnification of the company, this is the one that goes the other way.
Okay. And that last sentence that they included, in there, that's all okay?
How would you ever show that somebody intentionally did that?
Yeah.
Misrepresentation,
I do intentionally do that.
breach,
Mhm.
where is that? Warranty on the part of the town pursuant to this. Okay, you already covered that, that's all under letter C. You already covered that.
I think they should raise that.
So what it says, basically, that last provision, it says, for indemnification, the company, except to the extent caused by the negligence, illegal or willful misconduct of the company, and except with respect to special and consequential damages. So, except, there are some damages that are not foreseeable. So, I don't know how to describe it as a consequential damage, Let's say you have some litigation, and let's say it's a breach of contract litigation, but the person says, well, in addition to the breach of contract, I lost business with A, B, or C, and I've got additional damages because of that. That's a consequential damage. And this says you're not indemnifying the company for consequential damages. That, you can't foresee them, so.
Okay. Dispute resolution then.
No, I guess we're still at 12.4. So this is actually, this is beneficial to the town.
So leave it as is then. Okay. Then Article 13, dispute resolution. How do we find a mutually agreed mediator?
Usually what happens is you get a list.
Like from?
Well, you can get them, there are mediation services, for example, in Buffalo. There are lawyers who work for the federal court system as mediators in cases, because mediation in federal court is mandatory. So if you sue somebody in federal court, you have to go through this mediation process first. So the court appoints these mediators. So there's a whole list of these people with their qualifications. So you look at the list, they look at the list. No, we don't like that guy, he's scratched off. They don't like this guy or gal, they're scratched off. And you finally get down to somebody that's acceptable to both sides.
Okay.
Why would we waive the right to a jury trial?
Because juries don't understand this stuff, for one thing. I mean, you're gonna get,
Oh my goodness. That is a whole, like,
that's based on my personal experience. I mean, you're
we
gonna
don't trust the
have,
democratic process, or,
I don't trust juries necessarily, and I'm not the only lawyer that's ever said that, so.
Yeah, I can
It depends on,
understand.
it
but wouldn't
depends on
they
the
agree with the
case.
community? And the
You're
people
not-
who are in the
I'm not
community
getting
more than
involved
a
in
big
debate with
company?
anybody over this. Somebody, it's just, somebody may have a completely different opinion. But I don't personally
Well, I would
think
trust
that,
my peers any day over one person.
well, all I'm saying,
I know what you're saying, and it's okay.
would you guys actually think about raising the insurance? I mean, they only charge $1 million for crafters at a craft fair for insurance. And if there's, say, a barn in a field close by, a tractor, Rich, how much is one of those big tractors in a barn?
True.
Because I think you're risking, whoops, I think you're risking a lot if there's even a fire. I think you want to raise that insurance, really.
So Article 13 stands.
That's up, again, you know.
Yeah, right, I'm just trying to get a conclusion, because my attention span is about ran out.
Have another cookie.
That don't help.
They gotta learn after.
I mean, you know, I'll say this, Carrie, you've studied this stuff, you know a lot about it, all right? You pick 6, and it would be a trial by 6 jurors, it's a civil case. You pick 6 jurors out of a pool who have no experience with this stuff. I mean, I would think that after about an hour of testimony, their eyes would be glazed over and they wouldn't know what the heck is going on, so.
You're talking about a
That's just-
community.
Huh?
You're talking about a community. You're
No,
not, you're talking,
You're talking about 6 jurors who will be chosen from the county, not necessarily from the town of Barre.
but they would, I personally feel that the jury would always err on the side of their community than a big company that comes in and is, and I think that,
But you think a judge,
I trust
just
that you
because
could
it's a judge,
that-
he or she wouldn't have the same responsibility?
I think that there's one person and one opinion, whereas you have a lot of people in discussing, you have different viewpoints. I think that no one knows everything, and the opportunity to hear from other people and what they heard, and I can say one thing to you and you can hear it one way, and everyone else at this table can hear it a different way. That's the whole point of juries. That's why
You've
we
never
have
sat on a
juries.
jury, have you?
I've wanted to, but no,
Have
I
you?
have not had the
You have not sat on a
opportunity.
jury, you don't,
Keeping your opinion and her opinion, you're saying I'm right.
I'm not saying anything.
That is what you're saying. You're saying that.
I'm not
You are just
gonna
not- you said
debate
you
this.
weren't.
but-
Okay, let's get back to this so I
On
can help.
13,
I think that's-
on
I
13.1.
mean, if you wanna put in there jury trial, fine, that's fine.
I, for one, would, because it's all a negotiation, and it probably won't fly, but that's what I'd like to see flown first.
The other thing is, we should put in here, something about, in the event there is a lawsuit, we should place the venue for any lawsuit like that in New York State Supreme Court, Orleans County.
Oh.
There is a Supreme Court in Orleans County then.
Yeah,
Okay, didn't know that.
Supreme Court is the
Same.
general trial jurisdiction, so it's, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Termination, they've changed a few things in here. And add a little bit, but not much of a change. In that first sentence, in the event of the town modifies the terms and conditions, we had of any town permit, they changed it to of any approval granted hereunder or modifies its regulations, so terminology right there, town permit or approval granted hereunder, first sentence.
I don't see a big deal there. I think it's a
Okay.
matter of semantics.
Okay. And then they inserted further on down, the project in a manner which, or the New York State Board of Electric Generation citing and the environment modifies the terms. They inserted that.
Let's see.
They just got more specific about adding detriment to their operations.
Where are you?
Right there, still the first sentence, it's only 4 or 5 lines long.
Excuse me.
So they added, or the New York State Board of Electric.
Generation, siting, and the environment, they added specific.
Yeah, that's okay, I don't see
Okay. Then further on down, still the same sentence. Boy, if I ever wrote a sentence that long when I was in English, my English teacher would have ripped me apart. It says in hours to, where is it now? To suspend agreement payments, and in theirs they just say to suspend payments. We had the word agreement in there. And or terminate the agreement.
I don't know that changes anything either.
Okay.
That's one of these, I call them boilerplate provisions, because it's not gonna happen.
Okay. All the rest looks like it's the same. And then 14.1 we agree on then. Anything, gentlemen? Okay, breach and remedies. 15.1 has not changed. 15.2. I don't see any change in that one. But they did get it. I wonder about that extension of another 90 days.
What are you talking
15-2 company right to cure.
We can't cure it in 90 days, we want another 90. Isn't that what it means?
Yeah.
Says they should
And
cure
they
it
can't
within
go
90
over
days.
about? They can request an
No
extension.
way, Jose.
You know, once again, I don't know exactly what they'd be looking for, but it's giving them 6 months total to cure a breach, the breach.
What's a breach?
Which is not living up to the terms of the contract.
They can't fix it, whatever, in 3 months.
They would like that for a 6-month total span? Or shorten it?
I guess it depends
Well,
on
it just
what the
says that
breach is.
you can, the town would agree to the additional extension,
Mm-hmm.
provided the company has commenced the cure and proceeded diligently to effect such cure. So it's not just, well, you know, we haven't done anything, we're asking for another 90 days.
And we
Now,
haven't-
what if we say no?
We haven't got it granted anyway.
Well, I suppose if they say no, then you're possibly in that mediation. You know, you have a dispute, so you're in mediation.
Well, at least it's the same language in 15.5 where they give us a 90 days, so tit for tat.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all verbiage-wise. 15.3 is the same as ours, no change.
Yeah, you get the same 90 days, what you said, section 15.5.
Yeah.
Good for the goose, good for the gander.
15.4 and 15.5, there's no changes in verbiage that I see. Everything, those are okay, I would assume, seeing how you had that in the original one. Okay, 15.5, oh no, 15.6, yep.
I wouldn't change anything, because if they got a problem with their mortgagor, that's their problem, and don't make it mine.
Right. Yeah.
They say that we are not able to accept the proposed changes because of the provisions of the mortgage.
Well, this is just basically saying if the company doesn't cure and there's a mortgagee, they have the right to cure. They have the same rights as the company to cure any default. It's again, pretty standard kind of BS language, yeah.
In letter B, last sentence, the subparagraph shall only apply to any mortgagee that the company has identified in writing to the town in the manner provided. Now, what if they have someone they have not identified?
They're not supposed to have somebody they don't identify.
True. Yes.
So that might be.
Yeah, I don't know that it's any big deal. Mortgages are a matter of public record anyway, so, you know.
Okay. Gentlemen, we've been at this now for 2.5 hours. You want to get up, stretch?
I want to quit and go home.
So do
We only got about 4 pages to go.
Well, let's get it done then.
I don't know if you want to just stretch a little bit. I hear moans and groans and butt shifting here.
I can shift.
Okay.
Well, let's see if we can get through these, and then we can get a copy so that everybody knows the changes, and we'll have
So
to meet
what,
again, that's all.
What are we on now?
You're on 15,
6-C. C, in the event of any breach of the company.
They didn't
See-
even change it, did they?
Yes, they
yeah,
did.
they did, actually, they made it
Quite a few.
beneficial to us.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, in theirs, they don't have, in yours, you have and/or its successors. They don't have that in here. Breached by the company under this agreement where you have, the very first sentence.
Well, again, this is, there should be a clause in here that says, oh, okay. if you look at 1910, because it talks about an assignment. Oh, we do have the venue as Supreme Court or all these comments. But it basically says that if they assign this agreement to another company, the new company has to agree to be bound. Provided such successor assumes and agrees to be bound by this agreement by executing this agreement to the town a notice of assignment and assumption of this agreement. So it is, I don't know why they took that out, but
Provided each or such successor assumes and agrees to be bound? What if they don't agree?
well, then
They
they
don't
can't do
have
it. It
Then they
doesn't
don't
happen.
do it.
Right.
But
That's a term of the contract.
That way the town isn't left holding the bag.
What were we looking at? Was it?
we were on, yeah, C, yes.
C-15, 6.
Huh? 1560, right?
Yeah.
Any amount of breach by the company. What do we say here? Well, I don't see why they should take that out, that should stay in. And or its successors, that's, I don't know why they took that out. Maybe they felt it was superfluous because of the other provisions, but I think it should be in there.
Okay.
It's good enough for me.
Now, we had 180 days, and they cut it back to 90.
Yeah, that's what I said, it's,
It looks good.
yeah.
And they eliminated a little bit of verbiage, and that's quite all right.
Afraid I'm gonna have to leave.
At least 2 of us. Time they get back to us, it'll be Christmas, so.
Sorry, but I gotta leave.
Me too. Sorry, but it's close.
I'm almost done with it here.
Lance will handle it.
You guys can handle it.
Might go and snap like yours.
Now we have what, severability,
Yep. 16-1, D, E, and F. I thought you were still chewing on C. D, they added a lot more to it. extended cure periods.
That's in there, it's in the previous one.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm just saying that it's twice as big now. I did look to see what they added. Non-monetary breaches, if any are in the breach, other than breaches which are their nature cannot be cured.
Well, they changed a little bit, so.
Okay, extended cure period. And of course, extended cure period, they don't have under definitions.
It just says if it's a non-monetary thing, and that if they've agreed within 45 days to commence or cause to be commenced the cure of any non-monetary breach, if any are then in breach, and shall prosecute or cause the prosecution of same to completion within reasonable diligence, town shall not exercise any of its rights and remedies under this agreement until expiration of the applicable extended cure period. My extended cure period was 30 days.
Yeah. They're saying 30 days after the expiration of the mortgagee's cure period. So that gives them an extended more time. Oh, no, you said 30 days after expiration of mortgagee cure period too. They just flipped it around.
This is this, yeah, they make a distinction between monetary payments that are due to the town, a breach by the company for that, and then other breaches. I don't know of too many instances where the mortgage lender is going to step in and cure those breaches and defaults anyway. This is like a
So leave theirs alone then, for C?
I don't,
Looks
you know,
good.
you're talking about 15 days, that's the difference between the two of them.
Okay. Okay. D,
D or E?
I'm sorry,
E.
E,
That's the same.
yep. F though, they cut way back.
They're two different things. Their F and our F are two different things.
Yeah.
I can talk about why they took it out.
Okay. At the lower.
And then F is okay too, because that's just saying that it doesn't suspend any interest accruals or late fees.
Well, that's what I was talking about, is our F compared to their F.
No, but they're two different, talking
Yeah,
about two different.
completely different. So you're talking about maybe an F and a G?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is G. There is no G right now.
No.
But see, this was in ours, but they took this out. So theoretically, if it goes back in, it might be G, that's all.
Yeah. Severability.
anything changed? I don't know.
No, I don't see anything. Reformation. Don't see any change there. A,
Talk about reimbursement now, reimbursement.
no, I'm under
He's on A of
16.2A. I'm just looking at one.
information.
Let's do 2A, yeah.
Permissible activity, intent of the parties. That's all still the same. And 16.2B looks fine too. That hasn't changed. Okay, reimbursement of town expenses. The only thing I see different here is they eliminated environmental engineers that you had in the original. 17.1, reimbursement. They have for legal counsel and on-site monitor, whereas in the one you had, legal counsel and the environmental engineers and on-site monitors. So they eliminated environmental engineers.
It's gonna be a very long conversation with Laura. All right.
The escrow account.
I'm gonna be dipping in that a little bit for quite a bit.
No.
So
The
the,
50,000 doesn't sound much if we're gonna have to use it quite a bit.
That's like a down payment.
yeah, but then there's a replenishment provision, so we said, in mine I said, when the balance of the fee escrow account falls below 35,000, the company shall be notified, blah, blah, blah. And have a certain period of time to replenish it, they want to do it for
10,000.
It falls to 10,000.
Right.
I think it should stay at 35. Huh?
Yeah, I would go,
Yeah,
go with
I just
that.
didn't want, what I was trying to avoid is a situation where, you know, we had an outstanding, let's say we ran down to 45,000, all of a sudden we get a bill for 10,000.
Right, yeah.
And they only replenish it for a certain amount. I didn't want to, I wanted to have a cushion,
Yeah,
so that's why I
Agreed.
agreed 35,000.
yep.
That's what, you know, these people like to get paid.
Well, they may not transfer as quick as they say they are either.
They threw in there about replenishing another 10,000 within 15 days.
Right.
No, it says, if they fail, this is what we had, if they fail to replenish within 15 days, we can order a cessation of all work.
And they don't, yeah, they do. 15 business days of the company being notified, the town board may direct the engineers and attorneys to cease all work in the project until such payment is received from the company. But they had,
They have 15 days to replenish,
Yeah,
but then it says if they don't replenish within the 15 days, we can tell them to stop all work.
okay, so right now it's just the 35K.
It's just the difference between 10 and 35.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No, I think C looks the same to me.
Yeah.
D looks the same to me. E, I think, looks the same. F looks the same. Three looks the same. 17.4 looks the same to me. Notices, that's just boilerplate.
Miscellaneous?
Miscellaneous is probably. I have a, you can see where I plagiarized a little bit from, because mine said
Wait, have you
Otsego
seen that?
County instead of
Mine
Orleans.
does too.
Plagiarized.
I said it's the best form of flattery, right? Recourse. It looks the same. Oh, they added, no. They took out the, that's fine, they took out this quiet enjoyment for the nurses for their benefit anyway.
Took out what one?
In ours, 19.5,
I was looking. They changed 19.3 around a little bit.
19 what?
3, fees associated with enforcement.
Oh, I don't know what they changed.
When ours, we had the $10,000, town would be required to pay no more than $10,000 on any separate claim, where they eliminated that.
just trying to protect the town here. So,
That's why I can't answer you when you call
You
me.
just did answer it.
I did?
You hit the green phone instead of the.
Hello?
That's why I get it cheap.
It said restricted, I don't
I
even
know,
answer
that's why I
those.
was trying to shut it off, but I guess I was hitting the wrong
Yeah,
one.
you were hitting the green phone instead of the red phone.
It's your wife. She's got supper going.
Oh, look at, they hung up right away.
Didn't even.
19.3, you said you were trying to protect the town on that one, right? So that needs to be readdressed.
okay, yep, so, let's see, 10,000. Cap, okay.
I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. For this time.
It's blinding.
Yes. Okay. No change there in 19.4. 19.5, they eliminated our 19.5.
Yeah, they changed it, that's fine.
Okay. So our 19.6 is their 19.5.
And you see where the question before was where they had taken out the term successors, but in 1970, you see it's the agreement shall inure to the benefit of and shall be binding upon each of the parties and as permitted by this agreement by their respective successors and permitted assigns, which is the same as our previous language. Headings is just boilerplate.
$19.10 didn't change.
No, it's just got a different number now, it's 19.9.
Yeah, instead of 19.10 hours. Now, I got a question on our 1911, their 1910. The company may, on theirs now, the company may without the consent of the town, versus on ours it says the company may with the consent of the town.
Right. So I said in mine that they could assign it with the consent of the town, which shall not be unreasonably withheld. And I think that should stay in there.
Okay, good.
I still want you to have them send me a red line version, because we're not gonna be able to pick out everything here.
No. Neo said he was gonna call me tomorrow after our meeting. I said, you promise you're not gonna call like at 4 PM, 5 PM on Wednesday after the meeting?
He figured we'd still be in here.
Well, I figured we'd do 3 hours on this, and it's 3 o'clock now, so we've done just 3 hours, and we're almost done.
So here's, in 1910, here's the part that they put in here, I think. In the event this agreement is assigned to a successor, the company shall have no further obligations hereunder except for any obligations outstanding on the date of the transfer. So, basically what they're saying is, okay, so we sell to ABC Energy Company, except for any obligations that have accrued up until that point, we're out of it. I'm not so sure that's such a good thing, you know, because if there are environmental concerns, if there's something like that, I don't agree that they should just be completely released from any further obligations.
Okay.
So I would either take out that provision or massage it somehow.
Okay, and if somebody buys them out, this contract goes with it?
Yes, oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
That's why it bothers me up there in that fourth line from the top, after successor, when it says, provided such successor assumes and agrees to be bound by this agreement.
But it also says, like I said, it already says that it's binding, okay?
Right.
Yeah, but it's,
The only
it says
thing-
binding, and then here it says that so long as they do agree with it. I don't think they have an option.
And as permitted by this agreement, that should be out. Yeah, it's gotta be binding. I mean, it's
Yeah.
no ifs, ands, or buts.
Okay.
When they added this, 1911, 1912 were the same.
Yep.
And they added this force majeure provision. Force majeure provision is basically, well, look, you know, we say we're gonna do these things, we're gonna do them within a certain period of time, but if weather, you know, we get socked by some horrible storm or tornado and we can't, you know, because of acts of God, we can't complete these things, and basically,
Do you have to have the hex of God in there?
no, force majeure means,
Because I don't think God's gonna come down.
force majeure means
Destroy
any act or condition beyond the reasonable control of either party, whether or not similar to the matters or conditions herein specifically enumerated, and includes acts of God or the elements, including fire, earthquake, explosion, flood, high winds, ice, epidemic, or other casualty or accident related to weather conditions, strikes, lockouts, or labor disputes. Basically what it's saying is, like, those things happen, you can't force us to comply with those, they're told or suspended for that period. That's also fairly standard.
They got a union shop that comes with them? Does anybody know?
What's that?
They're workers, are they unionized?
There was a gentleman that became a party to the case that is in charge of union workers. He became a party to all the cases across New York State. So, yes, I believe it would be the union.
That's it then, gentlemen.
Let's see. I don't know, some of these things are actually part of force majeure, so. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So now, You want me to try to get together with, Laurel, to go over these?
Please.
We have to do it item by item. All right.
Hey, you just had 2 weeks off.
I know. You're not gonna discuss.
That's why I didn't bother with you for 4
What
days.
about
after
the
you
fee
got back.
reimbursement agreement, not gonna take that up today, or?
I was thinking about it, but we
I
got 2 members missing
just- Yeah. I
that vote out of the 4 that can vote on that.
know. Okay,
We'll have to talk about that another time.
all right. Why is that?
Nothing,
Oh, well, you-
nothing
I
having
had
to do
it.
with Apex or Heritage. Input, yes. Vote, no.
You're not getting a windmill or anything like that. That's what I was told,
Well, until we got it in writing.
because I was told I could vote, because I'm not, no windmills, no cable or anything like that.
Get,
Can I-
get,
That was
get
down
something
there. I was down there.
when you're down there. Get something from them. Please. So long as we have documentation saying such, then there's no problem.
From
Okay, because right now, everything we have is what they've published, stating that you do have a conflict of interest in that respect. Okay?
Just went on that trip and that's what
Okay.
Tell
Well,
me.
when Neil calls me tomorrow, I'll ask him about
you
it.
asked him, because,
And if he verifies it and can send me some documentation,
So just for clarification, if Neil Hayday says it's okay for Larry to vote, then that's what you're saying?
as long as we get something
We
from
make
Laura,
our own determination.
something from Laura saying that he has no conflict of interest, that he has nothing, no contract or anything, then it would be a discussion that we would need to
Right, but
have.
it's still our decision.
I could not vote. If you were, been there when I asked,
If you signed a lease,
Why are you going to be
you signed a lease,
Okay,
you're
okay,
saying that.
okay.
Um,
We'll handle it that way, okay?
Can I ask, Sean, when I called yesterday, I was hoping when I asked for the document or the draft that you would be working on today for the host community agreement, that's what I was requesting. And I'm wondering if I can get a copy of what you guys were looking at today. I really wanted to review it before.
I'm sorry. I thought it was just the numbers what he had sent me. Here you go, right here. 524. That's the recent one we got from them, that we just went over. Hmm?
You haven't had a copy of that.
Not handy. That's one I had run off. That's the last one I
I
have.
email you.
And can I ask if the original, like, because I know, so just the process of how this worked, you drafted up a first copy and then,
Yeah, but it was for
Shared it.
discussion purposes, it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just curious, and when you drafted it up, you used the Glue Island
I used a bunch of different ones.
HCA's, okay.
I
Yeah, we have-
tried to look at a bunch of them, and when I called what I thought was the most applicable from,
When you foiled my box, you saw that I had like about 3 or 4 different copies of host agreements from other communities.
You didn't have 3 or 4, I think there was 1 in there that I saw, but that's okay. There was, like, I saw the emails with John Whipple and the IDA stuff. This, nothing, no document for Barre was in there, as far as host community agreement. But, I also just wanna, there will not be a vote on this stuff, until after an application is submitted and deemed complete, where they can't change things, they can't change locations, they can't change proposed towers, they can't change, because right now, we don't know majority of what's going on.
No.
Well, as I said, Gary, in the beginning, there's too many pages to fill in after the vote if we vote on it. So we need those pages before.
Right.
Not
I
voting
just
anything
want
for a long time down the
reiteration.
road yet.
Okay.
That's why we had this workshop, was just to go over it, make sure that we all hear and see the same thing, and now Lance will contact their attorney, Laura, I'm sorry?
I just said her last name.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll contact Laura, and they will talk about the verbiage, or the lack of, in the host agreement.
And when it comes to, like, I know you guys were throwing out different numbers and stuff for amounts, that's going to be,
That's still negotiated yet, too.
and that, is that just like, I mean, I haven't gone through this either, so that's negotiated publicly, you know, or is that,
That may be, most of that negotiation might take place like Tom, Lance, and myself, and talking, and then sharing that with the rest of the board. It might be that way. It might be like one of these workshops where we have Neil or a representative from Virginia sitting at the table with us. We don't know yet. That's down the road a ways yet, too.
can I just request that if like Neil or Apex is at the table, if Clear Skies could be at the table too, just, do research, try and know numbers and figure out, stuff. I have a concern, just the things that they've done and how they've shown themselves to be ethically up to this point is concerning, and I just, contracts, I know I sent you, Krista Barre's review of their lease contract. It's a 40-minute YouTube video where she goes through the lease and outlines, and I think that this is like the same type of deal where, I don't know if it was, why wouldn't they send you a red line copy for you to review at a
You send
meeting
an
like this,
apology for it.
other than to hope that you're missing some things, and there's little like inserting the word out, things like that
Yeah.
they're thinking, well, they'll skip over that.
Those are very good catches, because that's,
Yeah,
without a red line copy, that's very good.